Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident fanalist, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_data. Well, if you didn't hear it yesterday, I will remind you, head over to NFLDraftGrades.com. It is a little bit of a fun project. As of right now, I'm currently working on it. It is beyond broke. We're going in the wrong direction here, but, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, hopefully is the idea. But head over there, sign up, check it out, play around, see what happens. I'm going to keep working on this combine thing as long as the combine is going on. And then after that, I'm going to start working on some other things. I have massive, big plans that I don't know if AI is good enough to bring it to life. I've been trying. There is a new Claude 3.7, which I use to bring this site to life. It looks fantastic. ChatGPT is apparently rolling out 4.5 today sometime. We'll see what that's all about. But bottom line, check it out. And if nothing else, I will have my scouting reports and whatnot. I'm going to try to, that should be simple enough to do, to put that all online. Have some data on there, have my stuff. I'll have my son's list on there for fun because it's kind of him and me working on this together. But today, for me, the NFL Combine has begun. In fact, I'm watching it as we speak, so I don't have definitive. I mean, I got a bunch of numbers, but I'm not going to have any official this, that, or the other yet. I'm going to save that for the end, kind of giving you the overall how did it go. As a ton of news and data flying out, it's one of the best things about the Combine. All the news people are hanging out, so it's just one thing after another coming out. I'm very, very excited about it, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to start with news and notes. There's a decent amount. It's fun, and let's get started with maybe the funniest thing that has happened so far. So I don't know how much you're plugged into the online world and social media and X, Twitter, or whatever. There is a guy by the name of Jordan Schultz. Jordan Schultz, I didn't know anything about the guy other than he's one of these guys that comes out and says, I'm an insider, I have all the news, and you take everything with a grain of salt. I listen to Jordan Schultz when he says via, and then he goes on to talk about, this person or that person. Otherwise, it's a little bit iffy. Now, I got a little bit of a boost in terms of trusting the guy when I found out apparently he is the son of the CEO of Starbucks. And the only reason that means something to me is it means that he has money and he can probably buy some connections. He can go to all the parties. He can brush shoulders with all the people. I'm sure his dad can pull all kinds of strings. But I don't know that he's very good at how to do the job. And so he's one of the guys that the good old boys club insiders don't like. He's kind of reckless. He throws a bunch of crap out there. It might be half true, not true, whatever. And this all kind of came to a head. Because again, remember, they're all right next to each other. So Jordan Schultz from the Schultz Report. Let me see what his official thing. Fox Sports NFL. He works for Fox Sports. I didn't even know that. That's interesting. He must have recently got that job because I'm pretty sure he was just floating around. Anyways, Fox Sports NFL Insider, co-host. Of what? I don't know. Why is Draymond Green talking about football with Jordan Schultz? Is that the name of your show? I have no idea. But he's got 325,000 followers. He's a big account. Here's what he says. Sources. Raiders minority owner Tom Brady recently hosted Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford at his home in Montana, where they spent time together and went skiing. This is a very specific report. Brady has been actively trying to convince Stafford to join the Raiders, and discussions are ongoing. Several teams are interested in Stafford if the Rams decide to move him, with Las Vegas believed to be the most aggressive suitor. Now, I think this is problematic. I didn't really dig into this part of it, but it's problematic because I'm quite positive all of this is illegal. Like, you cannot bring Stafford to your home and discuss, hey, you want to come join our team when you're in that part of the season where you're not supposed to be having contact. This is a lot of contact, right? So it's problematic. This isn't just dropping, and again, this is where Jordan Schultz probably doesn't really understand the game, by not realizing that that the story is less about what he just said and more about the fact that this is a massive violation of rules, right? So Ian Rapoport steps in and runs some interference. By the way, it's entirely possible Jordan Schultz is right. It's just a matter of you need to shut your mouth. You're not supposed to be saying this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So Ian Rapoport comes out and runs interference. Maybe this is the real story, or maybe he's just coming out to because again, if you want these connections, you're going to be somewhat of a mouthpiece for them. Then you're certainly not going to throw them under the bus like this. But anyways, Ian Rapoport comes out shortly after, so let's get the timeline down here. Jordan Schultz tweeted that out February 26th at 1:30. Ian Rapoport, 30 minutes later at 2 o'clock on the same day, Raiders minority owner Tom Brady and Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford ran into each other at a ski resort in Montana, which, by the way, come on. Come on. They're just out ski like Tom Brady in the middle of the offseason when you run a football team, and Matt Stafford, like of all the places and all the things that could be going, they just happen to run into each. So, bro, this is very obviously Jordan Schultz just dropped a bomb that is going to be a massive problem. Somebody contacted Ian and said, get this story out immediately. But it says the meeting, unplanned, was not extensive or in-depth and did not include Brady, quote-unquote, hosting or recruiting Stafford, despite reports saying otherwise. So he comes out and just spits in Jordan Schultz's face and is like, you're an idiot. It was an accident. They ran into each other. They're like, hey, what's going on? They had a little brief interaction. Whatever the regulations are on that is the full extent of it, clearly. Barry. This Barry guy, I don't know who this Barry guy is. He constantly, well, he probably doesn't get banned anymore, but he's always getting banned and coming back and saying crazy stuff. His comment, did they kiss or not? What? Anyways, so apparently Jordan Schultz was very unhappy about this. And the most ironic part about it is that Ian Rapoport was in a Starbucks. So Jordan Schultz obviously goes to the Starbucks there. It's, his dad owns it, whatever. Well, he probably doesn't franchised. It doesn't matter. They're in a Starbucks. It's a Starbucks in the JW Marriott in Indianapolis. According to multiple sources, including a report from Pro Football Talk, the confrontation occurred when Schultz approached Rapoport, who was speaking to an agent, and said, "We need to talk." Rapoport reportedly responded, "We don't need to talk," leading Schultz to accuse Rapoport of downplaying his report. The exchange escalated, with Schultz allegedly saying, "If you have something to say to me, say it to my effing face. If this continues, we're going to have an effing problem." Rapoport, feeling threatened, reported the incident to NFL security, which intervened to separate the two. Schultz later downplayed the event via text to Pro Football Talk, stating, quote, "It really isn't anything too much. Ian Rapoport and I had a verbal confrontation. It lasted a little over a minute. Multiple agents and reporters were nearby. Rapoport was the one who called security shortly after, but it never escalated further." I mean, how stupid are you? First of all, if your report is right, stand on it, right? I mean, it's very, I just as a passerby, I'm looking at this going, I have a feeling Ian Rapoport is full of crap here. They happen to run into each other. And look, maybe that is the case, and then Schultz ran with the story and turned it into something that it wasn't. I don't really know. Seems shockingly unlikely that a quarterback who's on the market happened to be several states away how many ski resorts did he pass to get to this one? And the minority owner of a franchise that is interested in this quarterback just happened to give me a frickin' break. So obviously you're right. Let it play out. Why don't you just quote tweet Ian Rapoport and say something like, "If you believe this, I've got a bridge to sell you." You know what I mean? Unless he was just embarrassed by the fact that he's getting scolded by everyone and he's just taking it out on Ian Rapoport because he looks like an idiot. But talk about looking like an idiot. You're in a Starbucks next to Ian Rapoport, the most respected insider in all of the NFL, surrounded by agents who are people that you want to have good relations with, and you cause a scene. You're an idiot. So that is how the Combine got kicked off. We got insiders getting into some squabbles here. Freaking love it, man. Let's go. But seriously, if you believe Ian Rapoport, come on. I mean, I respect Ian Rapoport for what he is, but you have to understand he builds these relationships by having good relationships, which means if Tom Brady or somebody from the Raiders, probably Tom Brady directly, calls you and says, fix this now, he's going to do it. So there is a scenario where Jordan Schultz, who's kind of a, low-life wannabe or something, he may be the more reputable source to pay attention to because he's just obviously not interested in developing good relationships and is going to tell the truth no matter what. Something to consider. News that broke recently for me, Ari Mirov. By the way, one of the coolest guys out. I wouldn't encourage you guys to all do this because it's whatever. I reached out to Ari numerous times. He responds. By numerous, I mean like twice. But still, I have reached out to Ari Mirov, who is several leagues ahead of me just for whatever reason. And he has responded both times. And I'm just like, holy crap. I never expect anybody to respond, especially somebody like Ari Mirov. Ari is one of the guys that kind of came in on the ground floor, didn't really like pretend to be something he wasn't, but still like kind of understood. Like I'm going to try this whole insider thing. It seems like a cool path. I'm going to work hard. And he's done it, and he's done a fantastic job. And I like Ari a lot. He's a good dude. Anyways, he tweeted out, Browns defensive end Myles Garrett is unwilling to negotiate a contract extension with the organization as his agent has apparently, quote-unquote, slammed the door shut on any discussions per Mary Kay Cabot. Garrett remains firm. He no longer wants to be in Cleveland. This, by the way, has come with multiple reports. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just take my word for it. Multiple reports that the Browns are essentially saying the same thing. The head coach had made a comment about we expect him to be here. And ownership, I think, or the GM or whatever has basically said we're not trading it. They're playing that game. This is pretty firm. I mean, this is, you never know. We'll see. But I don't know that there's an amount of money that Garrett is willing to, unless this is just a negotiating tactic. I don't know. It does sound like Myles Garrett's going to be on the move, but it's a heck of a standoff, and we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how far the Browns want to take this. This may be an unfortunate situation where he just doesn't hit the market when it becomes time. There is a window that opens, and a lot of trades and a lot of stuff go down, and if the Browns are like, nope, we're not having that conversation, then he's going to kind of miss that window, and teams like the Packers are going to have to make decisions on moving forward, without Myles Garrett. Not to say they can't circle back when the time comes, but they're going to start filling those positions, and it may get to the point where it just doesn't make sense anymore. Also, via Ian Rapoport, official. Sources close to Travis Kelce confirm he's coming back. The source, Pat McAfee. He says, I reached out to sources on the future of Travis Kelce. Sources said, I'm coming back for sure. Obviously, what he's referring to is he sent a text message and received a text message, and that's how that went. So there you go. Makes me a little sad, but it is what it is. Buccaneers have just now reinstated John Gruden into the Ring of Honor after having removed him in 2021. I'm guessing that's because of the whole email thing where he used an insensitive term, I believe. But anyways, very obviously a legendary Buccaneers coach. They got Kenny Clark up here. C.J. West, defensive lineman for the Hoosiers, apparently is comped to Kenny Clark. So that dude looks bigger than Kenny. Holy cow. Anyways, if you're looking for a Kenny replacement, go check some C.J. West film, huh? In other news, via Ari Mirov, says breaking, the NFL says its plan is to put its electronic system to measure first downs into motion this upcoming regular season in 2025. The chain crew would remain on the sideline as a backup, but it is finally happening. So we just recently were talking about this, the whole Hawkeye system, which is what they're going to be using, what they already have. I forget who it was, but it was called in indignant, essentially saying you already have the technology, you already essentially use it at times, like for replay, but you just don't use it. Well, apparently they're going to use it. The NFL's adoption of Hawkeye technology for measuring first downs in the 2025 season uses a camera-based system originally developed for sports like tennis and cricket to track the ball position with high precision, replacing the traditional chain gang method. This change follows the league's testing of the technology during the 2024 preseason, where it showed potential to reduce measurement time from 75 seconds to 30 seconds, another big advantage. Addressing past controversies like the close calls in high-stakes games, the decision reflects a broader trend in sports toward digital solutions. No kidding. Why is the NFL so slow in this? I understand there's complexity. I really do. And I think there's going to be problems with it. I'm sure there are going to be, and people are going to complain about it. Like, oh, I thought technology was going to fix everything. No, there's going to be issues, and they got to fine-tune it, and they got to work it out. And I'm sure they've already been behind the scenes doing a ton of stuff. But at the end of the day, this is just better, right? I mean, it's, human error is a part of the game. Yes, for the players. Not referees and officials and not the chain gang. It's the players. It's anything else. I am not accepting human error as an acceptable response to a problem. Eliminate it. So, very excited to see how that plays out and what exactly the plan is, how that's all going to work. Presumably, like I've been saying, somebody calls from upstairs and says, spot it here, and that's it. And then finally, another Ari Mirov. NFL and the competition committee will review the regular season overtime rules this offseason to consider adopting a postseason format where both teams are guaranteed a possession no matter what. This is such a critical or peak NFL thing. This is exactly what I've talked about with every single change. You know you're going to do it. Why does it take 10 years? Everybody complained for the longest time that they hated the overtime rule. They hated it. Some people defended it like, well, if you don't want that to happen, you should have taken care of it in the regular game before overtime. I understand that. I also think that you should do overtime properly at the same. We can do both. Yes, you should have won before overtime, but you didn't, and now it's overtime. Let's do overtime well. And so it's like most people were complaining, hey, we would really like it if this dude can move, man. The Junior Tafuna. Everybody's saying, why don't we give the other team a chance? It's ridiculous. You win the coin toss, all you got to do is kick a field goal and you win. They're like, all right, fine. After years and years and years, they're like, fine. But, only for field goals. If you score a touchdown, you still win. Field goal, you get another chance. It's like, well, okay, you're going to go halfway, I guess. And then several years later, they're like, okay, fine, we'll just do it all the way. This is everything with the NFL. Like, why don't you use technology? Like, okay, well, we'll practice, we'll do this, we'll do that. And then, however many years later, they finally do the thing that everybody's been saying forever. Like, you're going to do it. Just do it freaking right the first time. Stop being stupid all the time. It's always, fine, we'll give in 10%. So you're going to give in 100% eventually. Yeah, but not today. We'll give you 10. And then we'll wait until you scream and cry like a bunch, and then we'll move it another 10%. God, you're so stupid. I understand you don't want overtimes to go on indefinitely, but I don't know. This is what everybody's been asking for forever. You knew you were going to do it, just do it. Now, it's not official. They're going to review it, but I saw that and I'm like, this is the most NFL thing ever. All right, let's take a break. Come back. We got some more NFL draft and Green Bay Packers stuff to talk about. All right, let's start off with a little bit of NFL draft news. Probably won't make a huge difference for us, but just kind of keeping track of stuff. Doctors told Penn State defensive end and projected number 1 pick Abdul Carter, this is coming from the agent. This is by Adam Schefter, by the way. After further scans on his right foot, surgery is not advisable. Carter will work out at his March 28th pro day at Penn State. Quote, I couldn't be more confident that this will be a non-factor where he's drafted, Carter's agent Drew Rosenhaus said today. He will put on a show at his pro day. So this kind of blew up, this whole doctor thing. A lot of people talking about it. Obviously, a lot of jokes about him falling to the Packers, which will never happen. So I went out and got a little bit of a background on this fellow's injury history. Carter's injury saga began during the college football season with a notable shoulder injury occurring during Penn State's Fiesta Bowl during a game against Boise State on December 31st, 2024, so very recent. This injury initially affected his left arm, saw him exit the game in the second quarter and return briefly before missing the remainder of the match. Despite this, head coach James Franklin remained optimistic, stating on January 4th, 2025, that there was nothing stopping him from playing in the upcoming Orange Bowl against Notre Dame, though his effectiveness would depend on recovery. Carter's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, later clarified on January 9th that it was a shoulder injury and Carter was a game-time decision, ultimately starting and playing in the Orange Bowl where he recorded 3 tackles, blah, blah, blah. Postseason, Carter's focus shifted to the NFL draft process, where the NFL Combine occurred in late February 2025. On February 26, medical tests at the Combine revealed a new injury, a stress reaction in his right foot, whatever that means, which raised concerns about potential surgery. Initial reports suggested mixed opinions on whether surgery was necessary, with Rosenhaus noting there are mixed opinions on whether he needs surgery and we'll figure that out in the near future. This development was significant given Carter's ranking as number 2 in CBS Sports projected rankings behind only Travis Hunter. However, by the morning of February 27th, an update emerged. After additional scans, Rosenhaus informed ESPN's Adam Schefter that Carter would not require surgery and will go to his pro day. We went over that quote. The update alleviated immediate concerns, with the Cleveland Clinic describing stress reactions as, quote, like deep bone bruises, that if managed should not lead to further issues like stress fractures. Foot injury, while concerning, appears to have minimal long-term impact given the decision to forego surgery. I don't know why he even bother with a pro day. Just screw it. Just pass it all up. You're fine. But anyway, that blew up. That was kind of the big story, and obviously medicals are the big thing. But sounds like much ado about nothing. So, I think, is there anything else? Not really. I want to dig into this a little bit. This was kind of big in Packers circles. Tom Silverstein, probably one of the best, Packers insider type people, wrote an article, "Don't expect the Packers to feast on free agency the way they did last year." Now, I saw that, and I was a little confused. First of all, my mind immediately went to, 2 different things. Number one, why are you not expecting them to go big in free agency? And then number 2, what do you mean like they did last year? Last year wasn't a huge thing. I mean, I guess it was pretty good. But I think the context is important because my mind went to a place that I think a lot of other people's minds went to, which is they're not going to do anything this offseason. I want to clarify the difference between free agency and trading for players, because a lot of that happens around the same time. There are people who are free agents, which means they're not under any contract and you go out and get them. That market kind of sucks. When we talk about guys, who are we talking about? Well, what about Devontae? He's not a free agent. What about Max Crosby? He's not a free agent. What about Myles Garrett? He's not a free agent. None of these guys are free agents. Digging into his article a little bit here, a couple paragraphs down, the Packers didn't have the same jump-in record, but they addressed key positions with a pair of veterans, safety Xavier McKinney and running back Josh Jacobs, who will be high-end performers for years to come. Quote, I would say that there's very few of those players at all, Gutekunst said of the 2025 free agent market. Quote, last year's free agent class was unique that way, so there's not a ton of those guys. Now, I want to just be clear about something again. It's one thing to say that this class sucks, which you could probably say. There's nobody that I can think of that's a free agent that's like, dude, this is crazy awesome. But I also want to point out, and I've said this 1,000 times, guys like Xavier McKinney don't usually ever hit the market. Guys like Josh Jacobs don't usually ever hit the market. That was a very rare thing, and the Packers got 2 of them. It was super weird, super crazy, and it just doesn't happen. So to his point, yeah, there's it's a rare thing that happened, and it's not going to happen again this year, probably. And what I mean by that is when you're talking about like 24, 25, 26-year-old guys at the top of their position, those guys should never be free agents. And there were a handful that were, and the Packers got 2 of them. It's just crazy. He goes on to say, but I'm sure there are opportunities there. Every free agent class looks different. This one doesn't seem to be as strong as some. And again, let's remember, when we talk free agent, it means something very specific. The free agent class doesn't look strong. I would agree. I'm struggling to think of who right now is a free agent that is like the top. Who's the top free agent pass rusher right now? I honestly don't know who it is. It's not somebody that I'm real excited about because I haven't really, if you ask me which players would I like to go get, every single one of them is a trade. I'm sure there are decent options, and some of these guys that got cut, I just forgot about it or whatever, which makes them now free agents. Some other people may become free agents, which will strengthen this class. But there is a difference between free agency and the offseason as a whole, which includes trades. So to say that this is a weak free agent class has nothing to do with Max Crosby, Devontae Adams, Myles Garrett, whoever else you might be, T. Higgins. Actually, Higgins is a free agent. Scratch that last one. So that is fair to say that it's a weak free agent class. And honestly, when you look at it, there's not a ton out there. And for Gutekunst to come out and say, yeah, it's not the greatest class, so I wouldn't expect that it's going to look like last year. Well, of course it's not. Who is the Xavier McKinney in the free agent class this year? And again, do not list anybody that isn't a free agent. Who is it? Who is the guy that is, 25 years old, who is a top 5 player at their position that is available in free agency? Not out there. So guess what? The Packers aren't going to do that this year. But I want to be very clear on that, because I think a lot of people saw this and assumed that it just meant, without reading the article and contemplating or really thinking about it, that we all thought the Packers were going to do something with all this money and we're going to do something special, and it turns out they're just not going to do anything. Now, there's no guarantee you're going to hit on those big ones either, because there's only a handful of those. We don't even know if Max Crosby's going to hit the market. We don't know if Myles Garrett's going to be available, because the Browns don't have to trade him even if he says he wants to be. So who's left, And T. Higgins goes and gets franchise tagged, and suddenly even the trade market sucks. So there's no guarantee of any kind of a big swing no matter what, and even if of the guys that are available that seem to be solid players, there's 32 teams out there. There's no guarantee the Packers end up landing these different players. Can only do what's out there. But the bottom line is, as far as I guess if you ask the question this way, are the Packers intending to be aggressive in their in the offseason to try to add talent? I think the answer is yes. But you can be as aggressive as you want. If there's nobody there, there's nobody there. But all right, let's take a break. Come back and talk a little bit about what we've seen so far in the Combine. It's still going on, but I think it's about to wrap up here, and I need to kind of get this done-zoed. So take a break. We'll be right back. So I wouldn't say there's anything necessarily earth-shattering. I will tell you, there is the NFL via Next Gen Stats is doing some really cool stuff. They're finally doing what I had been hoping for. Next Gen Stats, powered by AWS, Amazon QuickSight. I kind of missed it at the beginning. They had talked a little bit about some of the work that they're doing, the data collection and all that. This is Combine IQ, powered by Amazon QuickSight. So you can see they've got the Combine Home, which they've always been terrible, by the way. Just the NFL website and everything has been awful. The Combine Tracker is just not very good. None of this has ever been extremely user-friendly. It's fine, but you could certainly do a lot better. And most of it is the exact same. Everything is the way it has been for years. They added a little next-gen stats bar that you can switch. But if you go over to the Combine IQ tab, if you can even find it, because it's a mess in here, but go to the Combine area. They got the little tabs on top. Go to Combine IQ. Very cool. It's very cool. I think it could be a little cleaner. It doesn't, some of it is not making a ton of sense to me, but they've got everything here in a format that actually makes sense, which is great. They got all the players. You can pick which day or all, day 1, 2, 3, 4 or all. Filter by school, search by player. They got the events, and they've got like the 10-yard split, which is good. A lot of times they won't even put that up. Short shuttle, the cone, the bench. Then they've also got speeds, which I really have been wanting for a long time. Not only that, they will show you the speed throughout, so you can track the speed as they go. They show top speed. They show 10-yard split speed. They show max acceleration. And then they've even got, which I had talked about this, I think yesterday, about the gauntlet and how they, on TV, you can see how they'll show you, like, this is their miles per hour through the gauntlet, which is nice, but I don't want to have to sit and watch TV for the few times and then take notes or whatever. They actually have that on here. So they have the, as of right now, just 3 that I can see. The 40-yard dash top speed, which they already have it up here, which is fine. Actually, it's 40-yard dash tracking metrics, and you can go through all this different stuff. So they got speed at 10 yards, speed at 20, speed at 30, speed at 5, speed at the end, top speed, and max acceleration. Short shuttle, they have max acceleration, top speed, 3-cone max acceleration, and 3-cone top speed, which is fantastic. And then they have the, I'm wrong. So they do have the wide receiver gauntlet top speed, which is great, but you pull this down and it's actually view skill drill tracking metrics. So they've got defensive back gauntlet top speed, DB line drill top speed, DB backpedal react drop drill top speed. So every drill basically that you can go through, all the defensive tackle drills, backpedal, 4-bag, hoop drill, pass rush, run and club, run and hoop, all this stuff. This is so cool. I'm sorry if I miss a couple podcasts because I'm busy screwing around trying to grab all this data and do something stupid with it. But I'm probably going to. All the edge rush drill, every single drill, not just the 40-yard dash and all that, which is probably more important drills anyways. Tight end gauntlet. They got all the speeds on here. This is very, very, very cool, and I'm very, very, very excited about it. So we'll be looking at all that. I think the biggest, I don't know if it's necessarily news, but the biggest name that you're going to continue to hear who had a really solid combine is going to be James Pierce. I had mentioned Pierce is definitely one of the smaller speed guys, kind of similar to Abdul Carter and several others, but he showed it. And that's what's going to be important. If you're a 245-pound speed guy, you got to put speed on display, and he absolutely did. So as an edge rusher, he ran a 4.47. The only person so far, there's other people I think still running, the linebackers are going right now, but the only person so far that has been faster is one of the inside linebackers, Kane Madrano, at a 4.46. The next fastest edge rusher was a 4.56. That was Colin Oliver. So James Pierce is, James Pierce is legit. Not surprisingly, had the fastest edge rush 10-yard split. That's that, initial explosion type stuff, acceleration, get off, if you will. There were only 5 people that had a faster 10-yard split. They were all inside linebackers. Now, as far as actual explosion, he wasn't the top dog. There were several other guys, Landon Jackson and Shamar Stewart being kind of the top names that you probably would recognize. Those were the top 2 verts. The top was Landon Jackson at 40.5 inches. Shamar Stewart did have himself a heck of a day, and the more I see it, Shamar Stewart has always kind of made sense if he makes it to the Packers. He's a big, 260, I think? I think it should be right on here somewhere. He came in at 6'5", 267. So he just feels like a big Packers guy. A big down defensive end for the system that we're running now. It always just kind of felt right. Then he comes in and has an RAS of, I believe, a 10. I think I just saw that. He had a 10 out of 10 RAS. So he also had a fantastic overall day, considering his size, etc., etc. In fact, if you look at the broad jump, Shamar Stewart was number 1, 10 foot 11 inches. So a lot of explosion from Shamar Stewart, big, powerful guy. And then as far as the agility, the 3-cone, as I mentioned before, a big edge rush drill. A lot of guys either didn't do it or it's just not on here yet. It's kind of frustrating when this is the big one you want to see for edge rushers, and a ton of guys just did not, either didn't participate. I see some names where their stuff just isn't here yet. Where's my guy? Nick Scorton. Nick Scorton is a guy that I'm a big fan of, and I'm pretty sure I saw him do a bunch of drills. Maybe he just did all the other weird ones. I don't know. I don't know why he wouldn't have done a 40, but anyways, this is probably not entirely updated. Anyways, you're shooting for a sub-7. Only one guy that's on here so far did that. Donovan Iziruaku. I think Iziruaku also had a pretty good day. Evidenced by the 3-cone. That's a big one to come in with that kind of agility and whatnot. So that is certainly a guy to keep an eye on. In fact, when you look down, and again, this is all still getting filled out, but they have their top 5 2025 edge rushers. And what they're primarily, there's Brian Gutekunst on the old telly. It's funny, every time they bring Derek Harmon out, every time Brian Gutekunst is on the TV, Derek Harmon is on the TV also. It's like they're trying to tell us something with Derek Harmon here. Actually, this might just be a replay from before, but the point stands. They have a production score and an athleticism score, and they put together with that kind of their rankings. They have Iziro Aku as the number 2 edge rusher on here. 85 athleticism score and an 87 production score. Production obviously being how productive you were in college. Those are kind of the two big things you're looking for, right? It's always a big trade-off with a lot of these guys where some of them are super athletic, but it just didn't really produce as much as you would like to in college. And some guys are kind of productive, but they don't seem, you're worried that it's not really going to translate. But as of right now, they kind of have their own RAS, which is their athleticism score. I'm not entirely sure how that is brought about. Let's see what it says here. It just says, how athletic a prospect and do they meet position-specific thresholds? So that's all they really wrote. I don't really know the metrics. But for edge rushers specifically, they have Landon Jackson, the top at an 86, Iziro Aku at an 85. They have Shamar Stewart at an 84, Colin Oliver at an 80. Interestingly enough, James Pierce is at a 74, which, everyone's going to talk about James Pierce because of his blazing 40 time. But the problem with James Pierce is that it's less impressive when you are the size of a, mid-sized inside linebacker, and also some of the other metrics are not that great. I haven't seen his RAS score yet, but that's probably going to be the thing. I'm not trying to dog James Pierce at all. Athletic freak, but I think there's going to be a lot of attention paid to, he had a blazing fast 40, when most people are not going to be massively impressed by a guy his size running what you would expect from a guy his size. But the top 5 that they have right now overall, Abdul Carter is number 1. He is not doing anything right now due to the injuries that we talked about before, but he's planning to do pro day. But they gave him a 95 production score in college, so he's blowing everybody out of the water. Then Iziro Aku, then JT Tuimalau, then Pierce, then Scorden. That's what it is so far. If we look at the actual speeds of these guys, and I'm trying to parse these out here, but above 20 miles per hour, we've got Sean Martin. Try to stick to it because there's a lot of them. Princely, they said it on the TV and I still can't do it. Human Malin, something like that, almost 21 miles per hour. Antoine Powell Ryland, 21. Kyle Kennard, 21.2. Tyler Batty, 21.3. Landon Jackson, 21.4 miles per hour. David Walker out of Central Arkansas, 21.6. Jordan Birch, Tyler Barron, 21.85. Shamar Stewart hit 21.89 miles per hour. Again, dude is large. And then top dog is Ja Joyner, edge rusher out of Minnesota, hit 22.58 miles per hour. Only Jihad Campbell, the linebacker, probably first-round pick, and Demetrius Knight hit faster times, and it was only the fastest one, 22.76. Ja Joyner, 22.58, so very close. That dude was flying. And then if you look at the max acceleration, Tyler Batty, 5.7 yards per second squared. And then for the defensive tackles, obviously going to be the slower of the bunch, but some pretty fast defensive tackles out here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 defensive tackles had a sub 5. I think maybe one of the more impressive guys was CJ West, defensive tackle out of Indiana. 316 pounds, had a 4.95. Derek Harmon was 4.95. Darius Alexander, 4.95 is another impressive one. Aeneas Peebles was a guy that everybody was pretty impressed by, 4.94. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, 4.86. Jared Harrison Hunt, 4.86. And then the fastest was Ty Robinson, ran a 4.83. Fastest 10-yard splits, which are a little bit more important than the 40 time. You got Ingram Dawkins and Harrison Hunt, the two hyphenated last names, both of them with a 1.69. Ty Robinson was the next fastest. The vert and broad, Ingram Dawkins with a 36-inch vertical, and then Ingram Dawkins with a 10-foot 4-inch broad jump. That was the biggest by far, so by far the most explosive is Ingram Dawkins, defensive tackle out of Georgia. 3-cone, again, Ingram Dawkins with a 7.28, and then the shuttle, Ingram Dawkins, defensive tackle out of Georgia. But guys with the highest athleticism scores so far, Ingram Dawkins and C.J. West are the top 2 guys. Their highest draft scores right now, Mason Graham, they have number 1 with a 91, Walter Nolan, 84, Tyleik Williams, 82, Kenneth Grant, 80, and Derek Harmon, 79. Again, that's production plus athleticism, but a lot of these guys don't have their athleticism scores quite up yet, so we'll see how that holds up. But like I said, not a lot of earth-shattering things happening here today. Not a lot of, no records broken or any of that kind of crazy nonsense. Like I said, you got 40 time from a guy that was relatively fast, but really not all that surprising. Looks like everything kind of fell just right into place, but happy to see the guys out there, and excited to revisit this tomorrow when some of this gets plugged in a little bit more. We can get some little bit more detail, like, they've got the, some of these are up. Pass rush drill for defensive tackles. Top speed, Darius Alexander out of Toledo, 16.21 miles per hour. Only 2 guys were above 16 miles an hour. He was at 16.2 miles per hour. So it's so cool to see this because, again, 40 time is kind of useless, especially for a defensive tackle. I don't care. But how fast are you in a pass rush drill? The speed in an actual doing an action that you would do on a football field trying to get to a quarterback, that seems relevant. So I'm seeing that I care that Darius Alexander is significantly faster than everybody else doing a pass rush drill. For edge rushers, they got the hoop drill, which is a pretty cool drill, very edge rushy. Ja Joyner obviously was one of them. He was at 14.92, but the fastest was Baron Sorrell out of Texas, 15.13 miles per hour running through that bad boy. I thought Iziro Aku would have been the fastest. He's on here. He's the fifth fastest. And then the pass rush drill, again, this is crazy. The second, Iziro Aku is the 3rd fastest going through that. So the dude's interesting. I'm going to take a second look at that guy out of Boston College, 17.15 miles an hour. Oladeo out of UCLA, 17.3 miles per hour, is the 2nd fastest, 17.3. The fastest is Ja Joyner out of Minnesota, 18.1 miles per hour. It's an entire mile. Think about how fast that is, though. 20 miles per hour in a straight line across 20, 30, 40 yards is fast. It's not blazing, but it's fast. We got an edge rush drill, and you're going 18 miles per hour? That's pretty wild to me. It's very cool. I'm glad that we finally have access to some of this stuff. I'm guessing these are the kinds of things that NFL teams look at. Again, guys like, what's his name that I had mentioned before, running the gauntlet, looking at that speed means so much more than all this other junk we've been looking at. I'm happy a guy can run in a straight line fast. I'm much more interested in how fast he can perform pass rush moves, what his total miles per hour while doing that is. So I am excited to dig into this as we go along, look at obviously some other positions. Edge is going to be a big one. Defensive tackle is going to be a big one, is a big one. We'll fully break all those down, but wide receiver, anybody on the offensive line, cornerback, obviously. What else is really interesting, and I won't do it today, but they have 2024 and 2023 data. Oh boy. What am I going to get myself into here? Oh no. But anywho, it's been a fun day. I'm going to leave it at that. I got we'll step away. We'll come back tomorrow, kind of gather my thoughts. Trying to kind of go out there and get the perspective on what everybody saw, but obviously everyone's just starting to put that together. People are just now doing their YouTube videos. So tomorrow we will dig in a little bit, see what else is out there, and I will talk to you then. Have a good one. Bye-bye.